Hello, I'm Jonathan Sutherland and this is the Scottish Football Podcast. All the news, views and analysis you need on Monday, the 2nd of February. And with just 14 games left to play, Hearts are once again 6 points ahead at the top.
Deflected and in! And number 3 arrives! Kabore stands in front of the shed end full of Hearts fans.
A comfortable win for Hearts over 9-man Dundee United. What could their title rivals do? Rangers huffed and puffed at Easter Road, but they couldn't blow the Hibs door in.
There is the final whistle. 2 points dropped by Rangers in the title race. And the Hearts supporters perhaps will celebrate more than either of these two.
A 0-0 draw means 2 points drop for Danny Roll's side. And Celtic had new boy Thomas Chavanchara to thank as they moved back into second place, level on points with Rangers.
Chavanchara's header off the post and in! And Thomas Chavanchara has a first Celtic goal.
All of that and a new Livingston manager. Time to dissect all the weekend action.
The Scottish Football Podcast from BBC Sports Scotland.
I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Jackie McNamara and James McFadden. We've just finished doing Sunday sports scene. And James, a 0-0 draw between Hibs and Rangers. 0-0. It almost makes you pine for the crazier days of Russell Martin and Wilfried Nancy in Scottish football. 0-0.
Yeah, I don't think the Rangers fans are pining for Russell Martin. Not a great performance from Rangers. I think overall Hibs, for me, will feel that they should have got something out of the game, should have won the game. So for Rangers, it's difficult to keep winning. You know, to win every single game is difficult. They've obviously failed to win against Hibs, but time will tell whether it's a good point or not. Hibs have, put on a performance, given, their defeat to Falkirk, miles off of what you expect from a Hibs side, going out to the Cup to Dunfermline. So I think that, David Gray will be happy with the performance levels, happy that they've created chances to win the game. He'll be unhappy they haven't been able to take them. But I think it was a strong Hibs performance. Not so strong from Rangers, but it could be a good point for them in the end.
And Jackie, you said on Sports Scene about David Gray feeling like Hibs deserved all 3 points, that they maybe had a case, they had plenty of chances certainly, and probably a return to stability and strength from a Hibs point of view with Edinburgh Derby not a million miles away, a week on Tuesday in fact.
Yeah, I think their performance was good, especially first half. They caused Rangers problems. They get in behind him a few times. Jack Butland had a few really good saves, important saves in the game. And they'll feel a bit aggrieved that they've not taken the 3 points. But as I said, the performance on the back of Falkirk and the performance in the Cup as well, losing to Dunfermline, they were hoping that'll be them turning the corner and what a big game against Hearts coming up, which for the supporters would be, a big thing to beat Hearts, especially where Hearts are going just now.
Yeah, and a few new signings for Hibs. Dane Scarlett, hot prospect from Spurs. Yep. Enough to keep the Hibs fans satisfied. James, do you feel, obviously given the loss of Kieran Bowie to Hellas Verona?
Yeah, well, I think time will tell in terms of the signings, but I think Hibs' performance will be enough. I mean, they'll be disappointed. I looking at that game today thinking, if the multiple chances that fell to Eli Youan had fallen to Kieran Bowie, you would expect that he'd be able to find the back of the net. But such as football, he's moved on. They've got a really good fee. I think it's a brilliant deal for all involved. And it's time now for someone else to step up. I think that Boyle and Youan caused a bit of problems. I think Scarlett and Elding, when they came on, looked like they could be, capable of causing problems. So it's a different, prospect for Hibs now. It's a different way they're going to have to line it up because the players that have come in are not exactly the profile of Kieran Bowie. But I think there was a lot to suggest that Hibs can get back to winning ways. You only look at last season, they were in such a bad place and they managed to turn that around. They managed to go on an incredible unbeaten run. I think that'll be difficult this season given the strength of the teams in the league, but they've shown that they've got the capabilities of being hard to play against, that can create chances. And when someone leaves, you look at clubs all over the world, they lose their star player, their main striker, and you feel that you're never going to be able to replace them. It's not always the case, or it's never usually the case. There's always someone ready to step up and become that main striker, and it just provides an opportunity for somebody else.
Just briefly, Jackie, do you think Rangers will get a new striker in before the transfer window closes 11 o'clock Monday night? It's been a sort of ongoing narrative, and against Hibs they were blunt, obviously, and they do seem to kind of struggle in the final third to create kind of goal-scoring opportunities from open play.
Yeah, I think it's hard to judge the strikers too much, because it's not that they're getting great service and they're missing chances after chance. You know, had it been the other side today that Hibs created, you know, Johan had them boil a good chance. Rangers didn't really create anything for their strikers. Miovski, I thought he was a good finisher and was at Aberdeen. You're thinking he would, if he got chances for Rangers, he would take them. Shermiti, apart from the Celtic game, I think he struggled. Although in the Celtic game he looked he looked like a £10 million striker.
For 45 minutes.
45 minutes, the second half, yeah. But, you know, he's not had great service. I think Rangers really lack that creativity, that number 10, just to open the defence up, that killer pass. You know, we've got a couple of wingers there, but midfield are quite sort of rigid in how they play. You know, there's no ones through there. They get in behind once today, which was a great pass from John Souttar, but that's your centre-back making a fantastic ball. You know, I just don't think they create enough for them.
In terms of the Premiership table, I should probably just reiterate where we stand right now. Hearts are top on 54 points. Celtic are second on 48 points. Rangers are third, also on 48 points. In fact, Celtic and Rangers tied on goal difference plus 20. Celtic are second, courtesy of having scored more goals. Let's talk about Celtic, James. And how good in terms of value were they, would you say, for the victory against Falkirk? Do you know?
Yeah, well, the chances they get the job done. I think Falkirk were good. Falkirk really, put on a strong performance, and as much as it wasn't as good as the one they put on at home against Celtic, where they had really good chances to win the game, they still had chances today at big moments. Barney Stewart had a great chance with a header. Casper Schmeichel comes up with a brilliant save. But for Celtic, they're now at the stage where it's about winning games. It's about maintaining that momentum. They've had a good midweek, qualifying for the knockout round, the playoff round in Europa League. It's a tough draw for them, but they've managed to meet their objective in that respect, and also winning the game. Falkirk have been brilliant this season, a really strong addition to the Premiership. They play a really good brand of football. I think they're an exciting team because it's about energy, it's about the wide men getting on the ball, it's about attacking full-backs, and they're not total football and play for the sake of playing, but they want to attack with numbers, and it's enjoyable. They're an enjoyable team to watch, they're a tough team to play against, and half of the squad are players that were in League One with Falkirk, so it's a remarkable journey they're on. But for Celtic, it's winning games. Come out of the transfer window stronger than they went into it. I think that is key. They definitely need to add. They have to be busy in that final day. And if they can do that, they've put themselves in a position like 6 points, and it's still, there's still a lot to play for. Hearts need to play Celtic, they need to play Rangers, Celtic need to play Rangers, and of course Motherwell are going to be a team that are going to have a big say in this because of how they play. So there will be a few twists and turns between now and the end of the season, but I feel that Martin O'Neill coming back into Celtic has really stabilised the team. I wouldn't say stabilise the club because there's still a lot of noise between the fans and the board, but definitely stabilise the team. And if they can get the additions that he needs, then Celtic will be challenging come the end of the season. Incredible
to think there's only 14 games left for each club between now and the end of the season. Celtic will only play Hearts one more time this season, and that's post-split, Jackie, and they are 6 points behind Hearts. As James mentions there, it is the final day of the transfer window coming up, and Celtic fans have been, let's be honest, unhappy about how things have gone so far. Thomas Jovanshir has come in, he had an assist against Hearts, scored today against Falkirk on his home debut. How busy a last day of the transfer window do you expect from a Celtic point of view? And also, if they don't bring in anybody, do they have enough to win the title?
I think they need at least 2 or 3 to come in. Again, we were talking about earlier, it's always the last minute, waiting to push something over. It puts more pressure on the deal to get done. Whereas if you're proactive at the start of the window, I think it's been obvious that Celtic needed another striker. Iheanacho's just coming back in from injury as well. I think they've really struggled with Vickers missing.
Yep.
Just that leadership. There's been so much extra pressure put on Callum McGregor, for that leadership qualities that he has, that Martin's had to play him. Even the Auchinleck game, he played 85 minutes before a big European game because he had to. He doesn't have that leadership in his team, and I thought Callum Vickers gives you that. I know they're difficult to get, especially in this January window. Is a tough window to get the right players in, but I just still feel they need at least 2 or 3 to help them over the line. You can see that Martin's got every inch at the players, that how he's managed to get results even when they're not playing well. Today is always difficult to come back off a European game. The last game at Falkirk with a better team, but Celtic won the game, and that's what they needed to do.
Even for the squad, isn't it? You bring the players in, it brings an extra edge, a bit of freshness and energy. It brings competition. Players want to play, but when you bring in better players, then it raises the level of the team instantly by going in. But the players around about them, or maybe that one with Callum McGregor, where you can give him a rest, you can take him out the firing line and get him energised for there. But it's important you bring in players for the benefit of the squad, because you need that freshness, you need competition, you need that edge to your game. And they need help. There's no getting away from that.
Well, Jackie, you played under Martin O'Neill 20 odd years ago, and back then he was splashing the cash on your Chris Suttons, your John Hartsons, Neil Lennons. How frustrated will he be right now, do you think, in terms of how this transfer window's gone?
Yeah, he'll be frustrated, but I think he'll have known that before he's came back in the second time. We spoke a while ago about the importance there when Celtic changed the manager. At that point, it was such a big decision after the Rangers game, because the way he was playing, he would have to get certain players in to fit his system rather than players what the team needs just now. I mean, Martin, when I played with under Martin, he never played a 4-3-3, but he's played it since he came in because that's what suits the personnel that he's got and to work with just now. If you were to ask him what his preferred system would be, I don't think Martin would say 4-3-3.
Did you like Wilfried Nancy's formation? Is that what you're trying to say?
No,
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Wilfried there, and
because 20 years ago it was very much a sort of 3-5-2 for
it was
Celtic.
3-5-2, but I mean, you talk about Martin's recruitment then. Sutton, Lennon, they're massive characters, all leaders. Hartson, there were real guys there. You talk about set pieces just now in both boxes. Martin knew what he needed to help the team at that point to come into it, and we were very, very difficult to beat. We always carried a threat going forward with set pieces, open play, strong characters and leaders in the team, and I think that's what he's not got at the moment.
Okay, so that is the top end of the table. We should at this point talk about the bottom and Livingston. And I can't quite believe we now live in a world, James, where David Martindale is no longer the manager of Livingston. He's the sporting director. I think there were a few boos from Livingston fans on Saturday, and you can probably expect that after a 24-match winless run. But did you see this coming? Marvin Bartley now the manager of Livingston.
No, I didn't see Davey leaving his role. I'm not surprised he hasn't left the club, because when you think about Livingston and Davy Martindale, they go hand in hand. He's interlinked with that club. But I didn't expect it. I think that over the season, there's been games where Livingston have been in them. They've had a lead and maybe lost a last minute goal, or they've had some decisions. Like every team, decisions go against them, but you could see they were competitive. You could see that there was a glimmer of hope that if they got that little bit of rub of the green, or they managed to hold on and get that first victory in this run, then you could see them, maybe taking advantage of that and going on a run of winning games. But the longer that goes, and you're telling the players, oh, we're close and we nearly won this game, and keep going, and if you keep doing the right things, then we'll get results, while still not winning games, that kind of fades slightly. And I think of late the performance levels have dropped. I don't think there's any getting away from that. But I'm still surprised that Davey's gone, because the job that he's done at the club, because of the importance to the club. So him stepping up upstairs, it depends on how it works. Marvin Bartley's obviously been there before as a coach under David Martindale. He's come back and he's a coach, and he's the one that's stepping into the breach now. It'll be interesting to see how that dynamic works, because Davey's been his manager. He's done everything at the club. I think he's done every job going at Livingston, and now he's got another one to do. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But I think that as much as Marvin Bartley would have been a good support to Davey as a coach, and when you're a coach, you have your ideas, you tell the manager, but ultimately you go with the manager's plan. That's what the manager wants to do, and you back that 100%. Behind closed doors, you might say you disagree with it and put your case forward as to why you believe your ways or your argument is the way to go forward. But ultimately, when the manager makes that decision, you're 100% behind him. But Marvin will have his own ideas. It'll be interesting to see what changes he makes to the team, because he will be sitting there, at times thinking, I maybe wouldn't do that. Even when it comes to a sub or a tactical tweak, I think we should do this. Well, this is what we're going to do, and you need to back it. So it'll be interesting to see how Marvin does. He obviously had a tough time at Queen of the South, but it's a job, a club that he knows really well, a club that isn't winning games. He'll be, I'd imagine he'll be thinking, well, they always do well against Falkirk, so that's a decent place to start for
on Wednesday night.
Livi. So look, good luck to Marvin, and I'm sure Davey will still have a big role at the club.
Do you see them surviving, Jackie? Because second bottom Kilmarnock, obviously, and there is that gap of 6 points between them, and Neil McCann and Billy Dodds obviously getting a great victory against Aberdeen as well, which will fill them with huge confidence, albeit Kilmarnock face a tough trip to Rangers on Wednesday night. They
do, but I think it wasn't just the result. I think their performance was a lot better. You could see what Neil's trying to do. Pressing, high press, forcing errors, and it just looked a lot more energy about Kilmarnock, and they looked better defensively as well, solid. So it does take time, for Neil to put his ability to put their stuff across. And then just getting that's a massive win for them. Not just scraping a 1-0, it's 3-0, comfortable win. Whereas Livingston are struggling to keep clean sheets. And with David going up the stairs, as I said, I've done it myself in football, whereas the manager then went upstairs to a different role, and it's just as frustrating. Right. He'll find that very frustrating, and maybe wanting to, say his little bit, or just get involved with little. It's very hard to.
Well, Lewis Ferguson sits on the bench for Aberdeen, so maybe David could still sit on the bench for Livi.
It'll be just completely the same as it's always been.
Maybe.
Possibly.
He'll be just as frustrated up the stairs as he will sitting in the dugout.
Any advice for him then?
No, don't do it.
Too late. We must focus on Hearts, because it was a good win on Saturday night against Dundee United, which really did throw down the gauntlet to Rangers and Celtic on Sunday. And everybody's been wondering how Hearts would get on without Lawrence Shankland and Cammy Devlin, and it looks like they're doing just fine right now, 6 points clear at the top. And James McFadden, next 3 fixtures for Hearts: Tuesday night away at St Mirren, a week on Tuesday at home to Hibs, and somewhere in the BBC somebody's phone's just gone off. But anyway, we'll edit that out. Who was it? And where was I? Oh yeah, 2 weeks today, today being Sunday, they play Rangers at Ibrox. Now, if they win all 3 of those matches, James, will Hearts win the title?
I think that they've got a strong case. It's not a case of if they win the games and then that's it, it's done. But you look at, put the distance. If they can win all 3 games, and well, that's including beating Rangers, then it goes to 9 points on Rangers. Rangers need to play. They still need to play each other again. Rangers need to play Celtic. Throw Motherwell into the equation. Hibs, you look, at their performance today. It makes the top 6 extremely interesting. It'll be the best top 6 that we've had in this split era, because so many teams have so much to play for and so many strong teams are in there. Falkirk in driving seat at that point as well. They will be, a tough opposition for anybody. But I think for Hearts, their aim has to be, because you look at the season and of course you have your goal for the end of the season. You break that into smaller targets. The next 3 games, if Hearts can win it, I would make them heavy favourites to win the league.
You see Hearts winning the title, Jackie?
I agree with Faddy, what he's saying there. The next 3 games. I just think the pressure is going to be interesting. Obviously, they've lost 2 key players with Shankland, and I know Kapori scored 2 the weekend against Dundee Utd. But this is going to be a big test for them, how they handle when they're out there. And up to now, they've been excellent in terms of handling the expectation, the pressure. But to win the title, you have to get through these games when you're favourites. They had a wee spell a couple of months ago, and they had a couple of draws there that you expect them to go and win. I think it was Falkirk. There's a few other ones in there that they kind of struggled to get over the line. So this is going to be a big test for them. 3 massive games coming up. If they get through that, then that kind of makes it really difficult for Rangers in the title race. And Celtic need to keep winning at the same time. They'd only play Hearts once more as well in the split. So,
I sense you're staying loyal to your old manager Martin O'Neill here, unless you're sensationally going to tip Rangers for the title.
I think they've been through the course. I think that's why. I think it's Hearts have not been in this position. The last time, 97 and 8, they're a very good team up with Jim Jeffries. And they ran close with ourselves and Rangers right the way up. I know they're in a better position now, and they've got obviously a good backing with Tony Bloom and all the rest of the recruitment that they've done. But coming into this spell, this is a crucial time for them. As I said, these 3 games are massive.
Have you actually nailed your colours to the mast, James, in terms of who's winning the title, or are you not bothering?
No,
not going there.
I think clearly it's tough to call. I think there's a lot of things it depends on. I think for Celtic, particularly if they can strengthen in the areas they need to strengthen, then I would still say that they're more than capable of going on a run to put the pressure on Hearts. Rangers look like they've done decent business, but performance levels against Hibs, you're thinking, they've won games, not been at their best. They've scored a lot of goals for set plays, which I don't mind at all, but can they maintain that run? Can they get a run of form where they're going to win game after game? The games they need to play against Hearts, obviously Celtic and Rangers need to play each other, which is great for Hearts because they can sit back or put the pressure on the day before. I think it's really tough to call. I think that once the transfer window is closed, then we'll get a better idea of where teams are. I think that if Celtic get the players in they need, you can't write them off, absolutely not. But Hearts, every time a question's been asked to Hearts, they've answered it. They went on that run, as Jackie says. They go on a run of form where you think, right, that's it. OK, Wilfred Nancy comes in and that kind of derails the momentum of Celtic. And at that point, Rangers are nowhere near it. They manage to go on a run, put the pressure on. They play again before Celtic and Rangers, knowing that if they win it, it puts pressure on them. That's tough because you don't know what their result's going to be. So they've dealt with that. They managed to deal with that. I think they look as if they're a team that believes. I think they've got a manager, when he speaks, you can tell he believes. And having the ability and having the points, of course, massive, but having the belief is key.
See, when you mentioned Wilfried Nancy there, I could just see Jackie McNamara coming out in a cold sweat. It's funny. And it is transfer deadline day, just as we wrap up. And James, you're about to set off and just stand guard at Tawanda Maswinise's door.
Yeah, well, the manager, James Bertolascu, has spoken previously and says that nobody will be leaving. I won't be surprised for the bids for Maswinise because he's been outstanding this season. He came into Motherwell, he's played off the left, he's played off the right. At times he's played off the right this season. He seems to be the answer to Motherwell's problems. He's scoring goals, playing through the middle. He's 23. He's got, I think, the end of this season and next in his contract, Motherwell will have an option for another year. So there's no pressure for Motherwell to sell Maswinise. And if the manager comes out and says that no one will be leaving, I believe him. And if that's the stance that he makes with the club, sometimes you have this fight where, and Jackie will know better than me, when you're a manager or sporting director, where you have this fight where you come and then say, listen, this is too good a deal for the club to turn down. I don't think that's going to be the case unless the manager agrees to that sale because of how well he's done. And if it does go and the club feel that, because everybody's got a price, they've always got a price. If someone comes in and offers a fee that Motherwell feel they can't reject and the manager can't reject, then it'll be a record fee for Motherwell. I've no doubt about that.
Or the player just decides that he wants to leave now.
That's a factor potentially, isn't it?
It's been a factor in today's football. Yeah. If players trying to force it. I'm not saying that that's the case, but if he knows that someone's in there just now, they're maybe not going to be there in the summer, and puts that extra pressure on the lad to come now. As Fadi said though, if the offer's right, but for Motherwell it would have to be a crazy offer to accept it, because if you're talking the same money as Bowie, that would be there in the summer. He's only going to score more goals and his value is going to go up and up and up.
And he could generate European revenue for Motherwell if they qualify.
I think when you look at how they play as well, you know yourself, when you're playing in a team that you enjoy playing in and you believe the manager, and the manager, that conversation comes with a manager and the manager says, listen, I get the temptation, I understand, it's big money, it's life-changing for you, but if you finish the season, get over 20 goals, maybe put Motherwell in a position to finish second or third, then it strengthens his position. The manager's going nowhere. You relax. You're doing one thing at a time here.
And you're slapping a £10 million price on his head, James.
Why not? 7 million for Bowie, he's outscored them. 13 million reportedly for Chamiti, he's outscored him. Why not? 15 million, I've upped it.
I was going up every second. James McFadden, Jackie McNamara, thank you very much indeed. Remember, we are here with new episodes of the Scottish Football Podcast bright and early every day, so to make sure you don't miss out, subscribe on BBC Sounds and have push notifications turned on in your phone. Scottish Football, the gift that keeps on giving. Thanks for listening.
For everything you need to know about your team this season, download the BBC Sport app. All the latest news, goal updates, stats and scores, and insight and analysis. Just select your club to get the biggest stories and best content at your fingertips. What a result. Download the BBC Sport app for everything you need to know about your team this season.
The Scottish Football Podcast from BBC Sport Scotland.
Right, Lewis, I can start with a few quick fires here, right? No pressure or anything like that. So your professional debut as a footballer, can you recall when it was and who it was against?
It was against Motherwell at Falkirk in the Scottish Cup. And it would have been sometime in January. I don't know exactly which date. I'll go for the 18th.
It was the 20th, but you're pretty close, but you're bang on with the game, spot on. First Scotland cap?
That was Denmark away. Would have been in the September 2022.
Yep, that's another one. Spot on again. You're so far so good.
Memory.
Right, so your only Scotland goal so far. Hopefully there'll be many more. What about that one?
The Greece one. That was nice. Special moment. You always dream of it.
Robertson on the right angle of the box with the left foot. Can he create something here for Scotland? Sends it in. It's a good ball. Who's going to break this in? Scotland have scored. It's Lewis Ferguson who's lashed it in from inside the 6-yard box. And somehow Scotland have turned this game right on its head. Another tousy goal as Greeks couldn't clear it from inside the penalty area. And Ferguson lashes it into the roof of the net. And with 10 to play, it's Scotland 2, Greece 1.
To score that goal, it was probably an important time in the game and probably in the qualification campaign. It was an important time to get that goal and win the game. So it was a special moment, something you dream of as a kid.
See, I know you love a goal, so you must have been so desperate to get that first one for the national team, because that was one thing I think people were hoping they would see from you.
Yeah, and I think probably since I've come back from injury, I've not scored as much as I did previously. I've probably been playing a different role that plays a part, obviously, in terms of maybe not arriving in the box as much as I as much as I used to when I played a little bit higher up. You know, when I came back, we obviously had changed manager as well, so you change the style of football changes. And I probably changed the role, played a little bit deeper, which I don't mind. It just obviously means that you don't get in the box as much and there's not as much chances to score. But you know, recently I've sort of been playing a little bit higher up with that sort of licence to hit the box. So hopefully the goals will come soon.
What's your favourite goal that you've scored? And that's going to be up there, presumably.
All time, yeah, that is up there just because the first for Scotland was really important. I think my first ever professional goal is still my favourite, I would say, against Burnley for Aberdeen. It was just such a special moment. First goal and the type of goal and everything was...
I mean, the type of goal was ridiculous for your first professional goal, wasn't it?
I'd never scored an overhead kick before in my life, I don't think, and the ball just sort of... It was just a bit of instinct. The ball passed by at a good height and I just thought, why not? So I'd probably say that's up there as one of my favourites.
What about, obviously a couple of years ago you won the award for the best midfielder in Serie A. I mean, that must have been a real experience for you to achieve that, given some of the names of the past who have got their hands on it as well in this country.
Yeah, it was amazing. Just, it was an honour really to be given that award. Like you said, some of the players that won it before me. So it was pretty special, and you know, that was such a good season. Probably when I was playing the best football that I've played, and it was probably the most enjoyable time because it was scoring goals, we were winning games. You know, we were playing for Champions League football, which is something that wasn't sort of the norm here. So it was such an amazing season, and then it ended in a bad note in terms of getting injured, but then obviously received the recognition by getting that award. So that was pretty special.
Talk to us about Bologna and why you love it so much. What's good about it? What's the best things to do here?
I love the city and the people. The people are so nice, so positive. The city, you know yourselves, it's pretty chilled. It's a beautiful city. There's lovely places to go and eat. And the weather, although the weather's pretty cold just now, but the weather in general is not too bad. So always look at nice place, good food, good weather. It's three big parts to enjoy your life outside of the football stuff, because obviously love the club, the people that work at the club, the people that run the club from top to bottom. Just great people, and I've been here 3.5 years now and made some friends for life. Feel really at home, and like I said, when you have good people around the club and around you, you know, it makes your life a lot better. So me and my family are happy here. It's been our home for the past 3.5 years. So there's also so much to do, but I can't think off the top of my head. I can't think off the top of my head, but just the city in general is a beautiful city.
Your Italian is spot on. I'm sure everyone would agree. It's sounding tremendous. Are there any phrases in particular you use more than others?
There's some bad words that I use that I'll not say.
I don't use them.
I don't know, my favourite Italian word.
Is there one you go back to on a regular basis, or a phrase?
They're always bad words. Because they're the ones that you learn first. To be honest, when you first go into a changing room, pretty normal that you learn the bad words before the normal stuff. That I feel comfortable now speaking and holding conversations with people.
Do you find it quite easy to pick up? Because I think it is, generally speaking, anyone who I know who speaks a different language, the experience of living in that country and you know, speaking to people on a daily basis and having to have those conversations, it almost makes you have to learn it.
Yeah. Because I think if I was still in the UK, and you can do as much lessons as you want, but I think you kind of need to be surrounded by it in terms of soaking everything in.
The interactions,
hearing it, every day, because I still wouldn't say that I'm proper fluent, because there's still times where I hear two people speaking and I think, what are they? I don't understand what they're saying. I'll pick up like wee bits, but maybe if they're speaking fast and maybe saying some slang words and some things like that, it's hard for me to pick up. But
It's a really quick language, isn't it?
Yeah, but then also when we're speaking, they think that we're speaking really fast. So it's I've picked up and I feel comfortable now speaking it. I done lessons the first couple of years that I was here, but now I'm comfortable enough that I can have conversations with people and the people at the club, and that's how you build relationships with people as well. When you come to a club, you don't just want to be speaking English and then having to change every now and then. But we've got a lot of boys in the changing room who've signed this year that obviously it's their turn to start to learn. So I'm trying to help them as much as possible in training, because I know how difficult it can be turning up to training, and when you're doing drills and you're doing some tactics and there's video, I know how difficult it can be when it's in a different language, so I try as much as I can to help the other guys.
How are the other Scotland boys who are in Italy? You've got McTominay and Gilmer down in Naples, and Shays in Turin.
Gilmer clips it in, but it's comfortably headed clear by Parkamenko. Comes to McTominay. Adams now. Can he get a shot in here? Goal! Offside! That was wonderfully finished by Shea Adams on the left foot. It'll be a borderline decision. It might yet count. And it's going to be given. It is given. It's Scotland 1, Belarus 0, and Shea Adams, as he did out in Hungary, gives Scotland a lead against Belarus.
Are they speaking the language as well? Are they tackling it? I think I've heard Scott certainly addressing his adoring public with it.
Yeah. I've seen Scott saying Mamma Mia a few times when the camera pans to him in the games. But I think they'll probably just be going through the same sort of stuff that I went through, and at that sort of time I think they're all in their second year. And you start to understand it first before you need to be really confident to then go and speak it. It's also another thing, because it can be embarrassing at times, like when you make mistakes and you speak to people, but it's probably the best way to learn, and they'll probably be doing that in terms of speaking to their teammates and the people in at the club. But it does take a lot to then go in front of a camera after a game or before a game, especially when it's live, because you don't want to mess it up.
But even in the press conference you've just done there, I mean, it's the way you were conversing with the local journalists. Was that something that you've just found the confidence to do in the last sort of 6 months here?
Yeah, well, I did it in my second year. The first year I done all my interviews in English, obviously. But then in my second year I became a little bit more confident. And then just one day in my second year I decided to do the interview in Italian. And then just since then, you just do them in Italian. That's
clicked.
Yeah,
it's clicked with you. That's good.
And then it's all like the same words when you're in a press conference and you're always speaking about football, or you're speaking about form or injuries or other teams. You're speaking about relatively the same things. So, once you do a few interviews, then you start to pick up, the words, and you can feel comfortable enough to do them.
When you first came out here almost 4 years ago now, how difficult a decision was that, and how kind of nerve-wracking was it to come to a new country?
Yeah, it wasn't as much a difficult decision. I think at the time I felt as though it was time to move on from Aberdeen. Had fantastic 4 years there. Loved my time at Aberdeen. Again, great club, great people. But it was time for me to move on and kick on, and I wanted to go and play at a higher level and test myself against some of the best players in the world. And there was options, but I just felt like this was the right one. I got, sometimes when you speak to clubs, you just get a gut feeling that it's going to be the right place for you, and I got that feeling before coming here. But then when you do make the move and you move away from home, you move out your comfort zone, different culture, different language, different country, then it is difficult, especially for the first few months in terms of getting used to getting used to living there and getting used to the language and everything that comes with it, because you're pretty much moving your whole life to another country, so it can be difficult, but I just tried as much as possible just to focus on football first, because everything else will take care of itself.
But outside of football, the family's growing as well now out here. I mean, how's it changed you as a person, do you think, being out here? And because everything has changed. Once kids are on the scene, then everything does change at that point.
Well, I moved here with no kids, and now I've got 2 kids, so I'm definitely more grown up, become a man. But I think you do become more of a man. You know, I felt I was young when I moved here, like I said. Not really any responsibilities in terms of just living myself. But then obviously now I've got 2 beautiful young daughters. And you know, the oldest one goes to school here and everything, so they enjoy it. It's good here. It's a good city to live in with a family, a young family. So they're comfortable here, and that's the most important thing for me. Is as long as my 2 little girls are happy, then I'm happy.
Two massive things have happened for you here. Firstly, Thiago Motta made you captain. I know he's obviously going to be a very influential person in your career when you look back at it one day. But also winning the Coppa Italia, the first time, you know, major silverware has come here for so many decades. Talk to us about that final.
Yeah, first and foremost, the influence of Motta was incredible for me, really, in terms of changing me as a player and the way I think and the way I look at football. You know, his work in terms of the tactical side of the game, and you know, it's just some individual stuff that he did with me in terms of positioning and receiving the ball and getting in the box. You know, I probably played my best football at that time, that year, just before I got injured, and he had a massive influence on my career and made me such a more mature player, a better player. So you know, I've got a lot to thank him for in terms of that. But the final last year was, I'll probably put it as my best moment in football, just because of the club here hadn't won a major trophy for 51 years. And you know, the city are so passionate, the fans are so passionate, and just playing at the Olympico in front of 70,000 fans, and managing to win against AC Milan in the final it was amazing. One of the best feelings that I've ever had in a football pitch, when the final whistle blows, just the relief and everything that comes with it. No, it was just such an amazing night, and I'll never forget it.
It came off the back of playing Champions League football as well. I know for you guys as a team, it wasn't a great campaign results-wise, but the experience of playing in the Champions League, I mean, that's the stuff you dream of as a schoolboy, and your dreams of being a footballer, I would have thought.
Yeah, of course. And I think the Champions League actually really helped us in terms of becoming a better team last year, because we didn't start the season too well. We'd changed a lot of players and we'd changed managers, so it was normal that it was going to take a little bit of time for it to click. But I just felt personally, the games in the Champions League, although we didn't win many, I think they definitely helped the team become a better team. In terms of playing at that level, you get punished for every mistake that you make. And I just think those sort of games helped the team just become stronger and stronger. And then you seen at the end of the season, we were just on such a positive. The momentum was so positive, and getting into that final, I just had the feeling that we were going to win it, and there was no other outcome. and I'm pretty sure most of the players in the dressing room will tell you the same. Just the feeling about the place. We were playing great football. We've got a great group here. Everybody's so close, but I think the feeling leading up to that final was we're here to win this.
They love the celebrations that follow successes in this country, as I suppose they do in every country, but Italian football seems to be, just in the last number of years, and maybe I'm saying that because I live in Scotland and obviously you guys are out here doing really well, but when I think back to my first World Cup that I remember was 1990, and this magnificent stadium, England beat Belgium in this stadium. How important is football to the people, not just of this city but the country?
Yeah, it's so important. Like I said, the fans are so passionate, and yeah, they're so good, especially here. Obviously, I've only got the experience of the Bologna fans, but I just think Italian fans in general really passionate. And everyone I meet on the street or in the city, they're just always so positive, and they just love football. They live for football. Every time I see my neighbour, the first thing we talk about is football. And they're all massive Bologna fans, so I think it's great. It's such a passionate country in terms of football. Obviously back home I would say the same in Scotland, so passionate for football and the love for football. I don't think that'll ever change, but yeah, and I'm the same. I love football like the rest of the fans, so yeah, there is similarities between the passion in Scotland and the passion here.
I cannot talk to you and not talk about Scotland and the World Cup that's coming up. How exciting is that prospect, particularly for you personally, given you missed out on Germany?
Yeah, really exciting. Really looking forward to it. That game against Denmark, I know I just said the Coppa Italia's the best feeling that I've had in a football pitch, but that's probably on par, I would say. It was incredible in terms of, like, again, I speak about the emotion and the relief when a final whistle goes and you've done it and you know that you've done it. Yeah, just amazing. The whole campaign wasn't as pretty as we would have wanted it to be, but it was a lot of hard work, and it was a team that fought for everything, and we deserve it just because we put everything into it. Sometimes the performances weren't great. That can happen, but we got the results that took us to a World Cup after 28 years.
Well, you'd take doing that over playing brilliantly and not making it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, look at Greece.
Yeah,
really good footballing team, really talented players, young players, play a great style of football, and they're out. So you can sort of look at it, they can look at it both ways. I would most definitely want to be in our team and be at the World Cup. But yeah, just such an amazing feeling, that game against Denmark. The best game I've ever been involved in terms of emotion and different things happening. It was just such a roller coaster. Scott scores one of the best goals I've ever seen within 2 minutes.
But it's Gannon don't pick it up on the right hand side of the box. Little step over and it comes. McTominay! What a start that is! Scott McTominay with the most outrageous overhead kick you will ever see in Scotland, and after the perfect start, it's Scotland 1, Denmark 0.
It's up there with your one against Burnley, isn't it?
Yeah, his is better. His is a lot higher, and his was probably in a more important game. But no, yeah, well, like I said, we went up 1-0 really early, and then Denmark are a really good team, so we knew they were going to come into the game and they were going to have some chances. But we stuck it out for a long time. We gave away a penalty in the second half. But that just goes to show the sort of determination that we've got in that squad. The heads didn't go down when it went to 1-1. We went back and got ourselves in front, and then with probably less than 10 minutes to go, they equalised again. And I think most people watching the game would have probably thought that was it.
Because that's them going to the World Cup.
Because that's them, yeah. And that's where I think you've got to give credit to the squad, because it's probably so easy in that moment to feel sorry for yourself, and you just think, it's not your night. But no, we're different, and you know, we knew that chances would come, and thankfully one dropped at KT's feet, and he's struck an amazing shot.
Yeah, this thunder stolen just after that, though.
Yeah, and then
in the
obviously
best possible way.
Yeah, and obviously then Kenny goes and does that. So that when KT scored that goal, incredible. That was such an incredible feeling, because you know, it was last minute-ish, wonder strike, and then Kenny just went and sealed it with a goal for the halfway line, and that was just when, you know, the stadium erupts and you're running towards the corner and you know that the game's finished, and you know, just all that hard work that you've put in. You've always dreamed of taking Scotland to a World Cup, and in that moment when I'm chasing Kenny, that's came to life. So it was such a special feeling.
You can bask in it, and we all will bask in it for another few months, I'm sure. But the serious business now, I suppose, for you guys is to try and become the first Scotland team to qualify from the group stage at a World Cup, or indeed any major tournament.
Yeah, of course.
Now that you know your opponents.
Yeah, and now that we've qualified and the draws come out and everything's there, the focus of the players, it's more for the fans to enjoy that we've got to a World Cup now. The focus for the players now switches to the actual World Cup, the games that are coming up, because we're not just there to make up numbers, we're there because we deserve it, and I'm pretty sure we'll be well prepared to go and get the best results possible, and I hope that's enough to take us through and we can be the first team.
It's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, and it is exciting to say that, to be the first team. But yeah, just such an exciting time. We'll be well prepared. And yeah, like I said, everybody, like I said in the press conference also, every Scottish player, whether they're in the squad, on the fringes or out of the squad, everyone's goal is going to be to get in the squad and go to America. So it's a great thing for Scottish football. It's a great thing for the players to have that at the end of the season to go and look forward to. And like I said, the squad and the country, I've got this to look forward to, and everybody should be so proud taking Scotland to a World Cup.
The Scottish Football Podcast from BBC Sports Scotland.
Sir Alex Ferguson is the most successful British manager of all time.
Nobody is above him or this football club.
So how did an apprentice toolmaker from Glasgow become one of the most iconic figures in sporting history?
His strength of character, his determination, the fight in him.
He can be persuasive, he can be charming, he can be frightening.
I'm Kelly Cates, and this is Sporting Giants Sir Alex Ferguson.
I didn't want to feel, I couldn't feel.
Listen on BBC Sounds.